On today's episode of the OnPoint Podcast, you're going to get to hear from someone who doesn't just talk about Gen AI for MSLs, she actually built the playbook and has started to scale it. Nandini Sabharwal is a seasoned medical science liaison and is currently a director for field medical at Pfizer. And she has built and has led Pfizer's field medical AI workstream. Now, she and her team have taken AI from concept to daily practice, really standardizing things from workflows to pre-call planning, conference strategy insights, and has done this with more than 90 MSLs. Now, what's really exciting about our conversation is that she's going to share with us not just the concepts, but hands-on, real-life scenarios of how her team and the people she works with are using AI tools today, whether it's ones provided by your company or those that are available in the public domain. Really excited to dig in, and we're going to see what AI is about today.
Welcome to OnPoint, the Medical Excellence Podcast, where we talk to pharma leaders about how to build highly effective medical affairs organizations.
So excited for this conversation. Welcome and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Scott. Thank you for having me, and Happy New Year to our audience.
Yeah, this is like the topic of the year, right? AI has gone from something that everybody's been talking about and has had all these big corporate initiatives to, hey guys, let's just get started. I'm seeing so many folks get access to Copilot, ChatGPT. They're finding the appropriate use of tools like NotebookLM. So we thought, what better way to start the year than to roll up our sleeves and to talk about how we're using it within medical affairs.
I agree 100%. I think what better way to show your leadership team or your manager or team leader that if there's one skill that you want to work on building, then AI is the perfect one to do that. And it can help you build so many other skills onto that. It will help you rapidly learn on some of the things we'll cover later in the episode. And that I think it's just, we've gone past a point of, okay, it's on my agenda to do, but you just have to just get down, start really simple, and then just keep building on it.
That's wonderful. So we're going to get into a sequence of how to learn and how to use AI as an MSL or as anyone in medical affairs. But just so everybody knows where you're starting from, just tell them a little bit about yourself and about your experience introducing AI to your team.
I'll share just a little bit about my background. It is important for some points and some of the skills that have helped me be here where I am today. So I'm a clinical pharmacist by training. I have never taken any coding classes, and I don't have any technical computer skills. As a clinical pharmacist, what you do learn is how to be hands-on. So I worked in the ICU and the ED, and you just roll up your sleeves and you get the job done, which is to save patients' life. You will do anything to do it. So that's one skill is important, and just carrying forward in everything that I do and you just getting it done. When I transitioned my career over to Pharma, it has taught me how to be agile and how to just quickly adapt to different ways of working. And being an MSL has taught me persistence and has taught me communication. And that's all it is. AI is nothing new. It's been around for decades. And it's just learning a way of communicating with the systems. And MSLs, we focus a lot on storytelling and communication to our healthcare providers. It's the same with AI. We're just learning how to communicate with it. So all those skills gathered together was really crucial in helping me get to this point. Along the way, I was learning AI on the go, in addition to doing field work. And then I got to the point where then I started just getting more deeply involved with it. So just going from learning to actually applying this to my team. When I introduce it to my team, you always want to start off with something that's fun. Use it in something fun that you're doing in your personal life, and then you move on to the more serious, like work-related things.
Some of the best advice that I've heard, I share with teams is you absolutely cannot wait until your company provides you some big magic, all-encompassing solution to get started with this, because AI is changing the way we work the way we communicate, the way that we get things done. And so what I love about your approach is like, we can just start with what we have today and then grow as the new tools come out. Let's start with what you just said, which was having a little bit of fun around this. So what I love that you had shared with me is that you start with personal use cases. Hey guys, roll up your sleeves, just pick something and use it. What are some of the examples and how has that helped your team?
I'll share some examples and then I'll read it off of it, some of the personal examples, and then how it translates over to work. Because that's how I started out too. I'm a very busy mom. I have 3 little ones, and just Googling things and having to go into web pages and just to find the answers, that just takes too much time. When I started using ChatGPT, it just gives me the answer right away, and that was a game changer for me. I was like, that saved me so much time. So for some personal examples. So say that the kids were just off from the Christmas break and I need to plan a 7-day itinerary for 2 kids. I give them the ages, things that they like to do. They're into trains, help me plan a Christmas holiday in New York City for that. And it plans out a nice itinerary day by day. And you can go in and tell it to, no, change this part, change that part. Just switch around the activities, do 1 activity per day, and it will just update it like instantly. Now, how does that translate over to work? Say you're doing a team planning activity and you're getting together a group of MSLs or a group of internal colleagues, and you can say, I'm planning this meeting for my team. What's the optimal meetup point for them? And then this is the agenda that we have for the activity that we're doing. How about the other personal example is using it as a learning accelerator. So I'm new to the field of Gen AI. Tell me what the latest news there is in the field. Then how does that translate over to work? I'm new to this therapeutic area. What are the top 5 things being discussed? When you go to a personal example for personal project management, and this is something that I've just started doing my own content creation and teaching AI. Here's a detailed 6-month social media plan consisting of like my LinkedIn posts and YouTube short videos, and then help me create a plan based on that. For when you translate that over to work, think about your territory or engagement plan, for example, as an example, and you can say, based on my historical engagement from 2025, here's my metrics for 2026. Develop an engagement strategy for the first 4 months, 3 months, or 6 months for this year. And then so the more that you build that muscle of using it in your everyday life, to the point where the moment when it clicked for me, it was that everything that I'm doing, and I'm like, I'm taking too much time doing this. I'm just going to I'll go to ChatGPT to help me give me some ideas. So the more I used it in my personal life, it just became very natural for me to go to it. So when it became available in my work, it was just easy to just transfer all those skills over and just start thinking about how this can help me for work.
Wow. How many times a day do you interact with one of these AI agents?
I will interact it's hard to put a number on it, 3 to 5 times on average. And it depends on the project I'm working on and the quality of the time that I want to spend in doing it. For example, if I'm working on project-related things, it can take me easily an hour of just going back and forth and learning from it and asking questions and building something. So it just depends. It could be something just really easy. I just need a one-time answer. Then that just takes 30 seconds. But I try to use it as much as I can. Now, it's not going to help you do everything, but it will help you eliminate some of the manual work that you're doing. It'll just help you, give you new ideas that you want to take a look at or different ways of doing things. You could just go in and just start asking it.
One thing that I really like that you said is that if you start using these tools in your personal life, then when you use it for things at work, you're already good at it, right? You've already practiced, you've already got the skill. Everybody has used chat messages. Everybody has used Google. So what's different? What are some of the things that you've learned by using it and now applying it that people would need to know?
If you're just Googling things, you will already have Google's Gemini their AI will just give you a summary of it. I actually end up reading and quickly read through that summary. And then if I need, I'm like, okay, this doesn't help answer my question, then I'll start going into the links below it. So if it's just, I just need like a one-time answer thing, then I'll just Google it. Sometimes if I want a deeper level response from it, and then so I need to tell it about my situation and something from my personal life, for example, and I'm doing something that's planning involved with it, then I'll go to ChatGPT or Claude. I have the app on my phone, and then I'll start describing the situation. So something more broader, in depth. If I want to learn just a little bit more topic, more in depth, then I'll just go to ChatGPT and Claude, and those are my default. But I still do, so if I want like ideas and images, I'll still go to Google to just get them ideas for images, or I need to just look up something, then I'll go to Google, and that's how I pick and choose.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that I hope everybody picked up in that part of the conversation is that just like any tool, you might go and ask it a quick question and then leave because you got a quick answer, right? But sometimes you want to use it to think and to evolve and to shape your thoughts. And so I like the example you gave around planning the travel event with your children, right? When you want a deeper answer, you need to give it more context than searching. Because if you search what are things to do in New York City, you'll get a nice list. But in your example, you said, here's what I'm going. I've got my kids. Here's how old they are. Here's what we like to do. It'll give you a much better and deeper response.
And the more you practice that skill, just going to ChatGPT or going to any language model of your choice, there's Perplexity, there's Gemini, just pick and choose one, and then you start using it. And then you'll be able to see the value that it's getting to you. It's giving you much more richer responses compared to, I just find just like Googling things like this, like for doing this type of activity, it's just very time consuming as you're looking through different links, and it's just, you can do all this stuff in an AI app.
That's awesome. Let's start to move towards using it for work, right? Because I think that using any of them that you get on your phone or on your computer with your home examples are good. As we start moving into work, we have to be a little bit careful sometimes. So what is the guidance that you give your team around when they can do work-related activities in a NotebookLM or a Gemini or a ChatGPT versus what they have to use company-provided resources for?
If you never ever input anything work related from to your company into a public large language model, so into the public version of ChatGPT, always keep that separately. If you're working on something that's industry, that's very general, that it's not tied to any specific provider or patient information, I think it's fine to just work on build in these skills in the public language model. But anything related to the company, you just wait, and when you have access to a company level like license to do it, because in that environment, it's all the information and all the data is protected, and it's not the case for a large language model.
What are some examples of real life things that you've done for work in some of the public tools or that your team has done?
So I'll just speak to an MSL workflow, since that's primarily the work that I do. If you're working on things like just the standard territory management or pre-call planning, and you just need ideas of different ways of doing it, you can do research in a ChatGPT because you're not putting in any provider level information. If you want to build on something, you can ask it to create synthetic data for you. So you fake names and provider names and addresses, and if you wanted to simulate, okay, how can it help you if you give it a list of like 100 ATPs, then you can have the AI work with it. I know, again, it's all fake data that you're asking it to create, and it'll do a really good job of creating it. So you always have that option available. Pre-call planning, say you want to do things like for conference planning, Because when you're doing conference planning, you'll just go to Google anyways, and then you'll take a look at the conferences and then look at their agenda. That's all available. That's all in the public domain. Then you can simply and you can simply ask it to, okay, this is the conference, or this is, if you're doing territory planning, you can say this is, I'm working within this region of the US. What are the top 10 conferences in this particular geographic area? And then it'll give you the list, and you can start going in and saying, okay, an agenda for me. And so you can use it in that sense, because that's the same thing you're doing on Google as well. If you're just working on just general skills like project management, you can use a public language models to do things like that. When it comes to putting real information, you're just going to use your company's license.
Yeah. And now both Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini all have connectors to PubMed too, right? So if you're doing research and you're searching for documents, you can probably get a much deeper search by using these AI tools to help you do it.
I will show you how some of that stuff work, and I'll share my screen.
Okay.
You'll see, I'll use NotebookLM as an example.
Okay. So you share your screen, and we're going to dig into NotebookLM. And so this is a product from Google, and it is probably the best AI platform out there for learning right now. Take it away. I'd love to see what you've got to share with us.
Yeah, so for our listeners out there who's not looking at a screen, you can go to google.com and you type in notebook, LM meaning language model. And you can sign into it, and it just links over to your Google account. So just think of it as one of the products from Google. This is a main screen that you'll see. I'll just do really quickly a demo of it. On the center screen, it starts with, you can search the web for new sources, or you can drop your own files in there. So for example, there's two workflows. The first workflow, if you have a specific journal club, a specific article that you want to take a look at, then you can drop the file in there. You can drop YouTube videos, your own files from your Google Drive, or you can cut and paste text directly into the window. The other workflow is, say you're just running a general topic, then you could just type in. So for example, I work within the pharma industry. I want to learn AI. Tell me what are the top latest trends that's happening. And you have the option of just getting a quick result or doing a more in-depth research. So if you can do it, the in-depth research will just take a little bit more time to do it. I've gone ahead and I have run the search already, so you can see, because it'll just take a little bit of time, so you can see what the screen would look like. Once it's doing the search for you, you'll come across this page. And in this example, I've told it that I want to learn more about AI. And so it's gone ahead and it's done some research for me. The nice thing is that it shows you all of the resources that it's pulling in. So it's pulling in things from YouTube, from Wikipedia, from reports from McKinsey. And then it pulls in the top 10 resources. You can always pick and choose whichever resource you want to use. And then moving over to the middle of the screen, you can start a chat with it. It will do the summary for you, and you can start having a chat like, no, I'm interested in learning about, focus more on this part, on that article. And what does that YouTube video say? One of the nice things in terms of like learning is on the far right-hand side, you can do the audio overview. So the two podcast show hosts that we're used to, you can convert that over to a video format. You can do a mind map. You can do flashcards, quizzes, infographics. You can convert this content over into a slide deck, into a data table. So whatever type of content that you are using, it can transform that content into something different. And that's really powerful. We'll go back to our example of where we are listening and we're learning about AI. So it'll generate the podcast for you, and it's gone ahead and has generated a podcast for me. And so when I started learning, I would just listen to go on my Spotify account, and I was load up all my videos on based on AI, and then I would listen to it on my jobs day to my meeting. And it's the same way you can do it with NotebookLM. They have the app available on an iPhone or Android. You download it, and you'll have all of your audio files there. So you can just easily go and then just tap and just listen to it on the go. It's a really great way to tailor your learning. And so all of this research into doing just takes a few minutes. If you want to convert this content over into an audio, that requires more time. So you just let it run. It can take 15 minutes. It just depends on your bandwidth speed. And then so you can just do another activity. And once it's finished, it'll just be loaded right there on your account.
Very neat. One of my favorite things about NotebookLM is that I find that I learn more when I can be learning at the same time as doing other things. So on my commute, while mowing the lawn, while getting ready in the morning. And so having my AirPods in and be able to listen to content. And I don't know about you, but I find those hosts really engaging. It sounds like a professionally produced podcast versus, remember those old learning videos we used to get where it's, hello, welcome to the course on.
Yeah, the way it just has a natural language that they're speaking in, if you've heard it for the first time, it sounds like a real podcasters who are talking back and forth with each other. Because sometimes it's nice how it translates very dense scientific information, articles, and just translates that over into it'll give you hey, we're here to the latest highlights, and these are the latest. Have you heard about this article that just came out? So and then gets you to listen to it. So it's just a phenomenal how they do it. You can always, of course, go in and tell it, okay, which section do you want to focus on? But for just the beginning, just let it run. It's just a great way to just learn.
I love something that you said there that I want to make sure everybody knows. So one of the biggest frustrations I hear from people that are new to using AI is that they did something like we just showed them and they're not happy with the output. They're like, this thing doesn't work good. AI doesn't know who you are, what your background is, what you care about, what you need, unless you tell it. And so I love that in NotebookLM, on any of those audio guides, video guide, slide decks, there's that little icon that you can click, and you can actually say, I am a pharmacist. So you want to explain it to me based on my understanding, my knowledge, not the general public. And so the more you can tell it about who you are and why you're listening to something, the more precise it'll be for you.
And that's where the next, we're going to build on that scale. It's the way that you're communicating with it. So give it as much, the more context you give it, the more it understands the situation and what you're working towards. So if you have the end goal in mind, this is what I'm looking to do, you tell it that. Otherwise, it's just going to make an assumption. If you don't tell it, it's just going to make an assumption and say, okay, here's what I think Scott wants, and then give it to me. And then Scott looks at it and says, Nandini, this is not what I was asking for. That's the exact same. It's because if you're like, okay, this is not useful for me, it's because you didn't tell it what you're looking for. You didn't give it enough context of how to do it. I used to teach prompting. Now I don't. We don't need to learn prompting skills. The system, the AI will just do that for you. If you're working on more detailed things that are a little bit more in depth, you can just ask it to create a structured prompt for you. And then so that way its output, it's giving you back is a very structured response, only if you want it in that way. But if it's something back and forth, you need to give it more context, and then you need to become more comfortable getting toward that.
Yeah. And the more comfortable you get, the faster you'll be. It'll just come out that way the first time.
I didn't learn this until later. So a lot of the things that we create now, realize that AI all the ideas are my own. So for the first, if you're looking for a workflow, I have to put in the first 30% of it. I'll get the work done myself. AI will help me from 30% to 80%, And then the rest of the 80% to 100%, I do the refinement and finish it off on my own. And then so it works as a great like first draft, but we still have to do the work and then still do all the fine tuning. It's the process, that part where you're actually like say 30 to 80%, it's a very time consuming part where we're sitting there and we're editing and we're thinking like, okay, how do I create these images and how do I convey this point? It's helping you do that work and speed up that process. So AI is not going to do a work end to end. It will help you get there to the finished presentation, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's try something here. I'm going to throw out some of the common challenges, objections, things that I hear MSLs specifically throw out when I'm like, have you used AI? And they say no. And I want to find out what your advice is or how you would respond. So the first one is, I don't have time to learn this.
All of us are busy. Everyone. If I tell you, if I can give you back 1 hour of your time that you can invest in yourself and to help yourself learn a new skill, I can't imagine why you would say no to that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a perfect example. We're at the beginning of the year. It's January. It's a perfect way of when you're doing your career planning, your territory planning, and you need to like put in, everybody's putting in there, okay, what are things I'm going to be learning for this year? Put AI on there and then let your leadership know that I'm interested in learning this. And then have it built. And if you don't like, okay, I don't know how to fit it into my time, you you ask it, go to the ChatGPT and ask it like, okay, I'm interested in learning AI. Help me block out 30 minutes a week so I can learn AI. Go to NotebookLM and then have it pull all the news updates that's happening and have it convert that over into an audio, and you can listen to it on your drives to work. I will learn on the go and you will make time.
We did a session in, I guess it was December. It was AI Basics for Medical Affairs, and it was 1 hour. And I had over 15 people come back to me and said that they have saved at least 3 hours a week every week since. So the ROI on this is instant, right? I haven't met anybody who invests an hour learning how to do this and doesn't get more than an hour every week back.
I agreed. And just from when I started this on this path, when I went to medical conferences, it didn't matter whichever therapeutic area you go to, there is at least one AI session in these medical conferences. When I attend them along with the providers, there's standing room. There's providers of all ages, all the way from very young physicians, new students learning, all the way from older physicians that are gray-haired and they're like taking notes on their phone. And so every profession, they know that if they don't adopt AI, they're going to be left behind. Our providers are using AI. Our patients are using AI. So then we be up there and meet them.
It's awesome. Right, here's the second one I hear. I can't get started because my company hasn't given it to me yet. They haven't given me the tools.
They have. We've covered this in this exact podcast where you learn to build the skills, learn to use it in your personal life. Projects, do fun things that you want to work on, things that you've never gotten to do. For example, I had never gotten the time to do my content creation and YouTube videos. Now with AI, it helps me. I have my pitch. I'm doing it on my own. And okay, here's a rough outline of it. I give it to ChatGPT. It helps me streamline it, structure it, like a beautiful script. And then I'm like, oh, that's the hard part. You have to get the script. You have the script, and then you go to do the recording. Like so little pieces, it can help you along the way. And then I got it done. And I'm so proud of myself for being able to accomplish something like that. Trying to get on, then it can convert over, okay, here's my YouTube video content that I did. Okay, and I put it into ChatGPT, convert it into a LinkedIn post for me. And it just does it because it understands what should be in a LinkedIn post. And it's just little things like that it has helped me do. Can I translate that over to work? Of course I can, because now I need to teach my team on AI. I have to do recordings and do the demos for them. And I have to do a script when I'm recording. It's the same exact skill.
Yeah. Absolutely. And let's do another one. What about the MSLs you go, look, I'm not tech savvy. I don't want to be in IT. I don't want to learn technology. I'm not tech savvy. I can't do it.
If you can Google, you can use ChatGPT. You can use any of Gemini, Perplexity. You can use all of that. Just start by just text, like Googling as the same way you would Google. Start by doing the same thing by Googling it. And then I think once you see the responses that you're getting from it, then then you just have to see it for yourself. Then you'll believe in it and say, okay, this is actually something that can help me.
Yeah, I find it interesting because I am technology savvy. I use technology a lot. I don't actually find that I use any technology skills to use these AI platforms. You have to be a really good communicator, and MSLs, like, that's what you've spent your career learning how to do, is communicate. And now you just talk and you type your message in, and if you're clear, it can help you out.
And it can.
Yeah. Okay. What's the cost of making a mistake? Is it really risky to use AI?
It just depends on what you're doing. If it's for your personal use, then you can make as many mistakes as you want. Mistakes are important because all the mistakes that I've made, it has helped me learn, okay, here's what the AI can't do. If it makes a mistake and I catch it, then I tell it, I'm like, hey, you forgot these things, or this is not correct. And then it'll take a look and say, oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't include this, or I omitted this because of this particular reason. When you start doing deep research, and if you use an app like Claude, you can see when you're in your web browser, you can see side by side actually how it's doing its thinking. And then that's how I learn, okay, this is how I like to actually communicate with the system. It's a human make mistake. Of course, like the AI can make mistake. We're always someone who are double checking against any errors that it's making. So if we're using it to summarize an article, we're not going to send it to an ACP. We ultimately are responsible for what we're sending, and we're going to be reviewing it. Yes, it can hallucinate, it can make mistakes, and that's what the AI community is working towards that. To how do we reduce those mistakes, those hallucinations that's happening. And then, so if you're working on something that's a little bit more higher level, yes, you don't want it to make mistakes. And then you set guardrails around of things that it can or cannot do. Use only the sources that you're giving it. So that way it's not going out and then start hallucinating, where you drawing from other sources or making up stuff, because ChatGPT, all these language models are all people pleasers. They will give you the answer and say, yes, you are right there, but you use the content that you're giving it with cautions and reviewing it.
Absolutely. So let's move into one last section of our conversation here. Let's talk about some of the more advanced use cases. So as the team gets comfortable, they've done some basic work, they're using it, but what are some of the things that are like the best prompts, the best use cases that you've seen as an MSL that they're using these platforms for? Let's just go through a couple.
A couple of really good use cases would be, so helping you do pre-call planning, like end to end. So it's gathering all of your provider's information. From there, it is suggesting, okay, this is what content that they might be interested in it. And then here is some suggested talking points that you can have. You can give it like, okay, here's the content that I'm looking for. Can you develop objection handling for me? How would this provider respond to this type of content? And then you can really start thinking deeply as you are prepping with objection handling on okay, how do I pivot and then ask the providers these questions, and you come out more smooth when you're practicing. And then from there, it helps you get more deeper insights when you come in that prepared. That will flow into so when you're finished with your meeting, you have all of your insights, you're documenting it. It can break out insights into more structured ones, and then you can just easily go over it and then manually enter into the system. But then from there, you can take all that information and then now you have your own metrics that you could run and say, okay, these are my reports that I'm doing for the first quarter, all my meetings, and then have AI help you structure for the next quarter and the next quarter. And so it's being able to translate all of your contextual knowledge, everything that's in your mind, and then transfer it into the system and letting it help you. It's still fragmented. People are still building parts and parts of it. There's so many things that you can add to it for if you were doing conference planning, and that's still a lot of manual work involved with it. Then have it help you with doing the debriefs of the conference breakdown for you. All of the underpals are coming back with all of the insights, and then having it help you aggregate that data. And just think of like, you can just easily convert that over into a podcast. So that way people can just listen to the conference update on the go. So it's not we're not reinventing anything new. We're just redefining some of the work that we're doing and just helping us get it done faster and smarter.
Yeah. I love thinking about it as AI isn't going to replace your expertise. It's going to give you more opportunities to use it.
There's still some of that fear that's still, okay, it's going to replace my job. I don't think that's going to be the case. It's just going to replace some of the work that we're doing. It's not going to replace MSLs. Having human to human contact, it's still essential. It's still necessary to get business done.
I have a question for you. It's not about AI, about medical affairs. If our MSL team can double their capacity because of being more effective and efficient and use tools like this, what is the possibility then for MSLs? What would you do with that capacity if you had it?
You can work on so many higher level projects and have more impactful things. So a lot of our time gets sucked into doing logistical planning. Yeah, I can help take away some of that. And so working on more deeper level things where you finally have the time to sit down and look at your internal teams and see who's working on what. Now, and there's so many resources that's available internally that it doesn't make its way externally. And that takes time and a skill to learn. How do I find out, okay, which teams, which resources are there, who has funding where to help my provider? And so it helps you work on more higher level things like that. If you want to work on creating specific type, help to get a research funded, you have to go look. Sometimes you have to go looking within your company, okay, who has for money for research? That time that you save from not doing logistical work, you reinvest into working on your project, on higher level things. And I think that's where the value gets added.
Yeah. And I think that there's more healthcare providers that need scientific education and engagement than we possibly have the capacity to engage with today. So I'm really excited for the broadening and the breadth that medical affairs will be able to have as we find new ways to use these tools to engage.
Same here. I'm looking forward to what 2026 holds. I think people are starting to become more comfortable. You hear the word AI everywhere. And then they'll be, let me try it, let me use it. A lot of people have started using it. And then it's like, okay, I've used it. Where do I go from here? How do I translate that over to work? And then you translate it over to work. And then, okay, what is the next steps over there? How do I use it to build projects? And then, so there's lots of content out there. In terms of like when I was working on creating my content for YouTube videos, it was teaching, okay, how do I take my idea, for example, storytelling, have it create a more structured like framework for me or a prompt, and then use that help it give me a really good output. And then objection handling, telling me how to convert for storytelling, telling me how do I give me through different patients' case stories of how I can use this particular type of content. And then so moving on to projects like that. And how do I pitch it to the rest of like my leadership team, and how do I get my coworkers to use it? And so it's like look for content that are out there that you can use to help build on these skills.
You know what impresses me the most about talking to you is your drive and aspiration to become better. Because these tools could make us more stupid. They could make us lazy. They could really kill innovation. But what you just shared, you are using it because you're motivated to continue to grow, to continue to strive, and to continue to increase the impact that you're having. So thank you for sharing that with everyone. And I'm going to actually add that to my AI board. If you don't have that drive and passion, the tools aren't going to help you do anything.
No, people just choose it as another tool when I strongly believe it isn't. It is use it as a collaborator, as a working partner. One of my colleagues, he said this on his podcast, Tom, and he said, do this and it will change your relationship with AI. So you give it a name. My AI's name, I named him Sage. And then so whenever I'm interacting with it now, I say, hey, Sage, this is what I'm working on. So it just shifted my mentality as something, okay, that's more transactional to something like, man, I'm actually like excited about interacting with Sage. Because Sage is not just a chatbot. It's very different. A chatbot is something that has been programmed to give you like very specified answers. So when you're going to your chatbots and you're looking at your computer screen from websites and stuff, they have predefined answers. When you're looking at a language model like ChatGPT, will adapt to the way that you're interacting and it will remember things about you, and which is amazing because it remembers all the work that I've done over 2025 and then will help me build onto 2026. So I've seen it personally, it's just not another tool. You just have to know how to use it and maximize the value out of it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that 2026 is going to be amazing. You are so generous to the medical community by sharing what you're learning and what you're teaching on LinkedIn. Do you mind if we put your contact information in the show notes? And can people follow you on LinkedIn?
Yeah, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me. As a disclaimer, I do work for Pfizer, but anything that I've shared in this podcast is not representing Pfizer in any way or any shape or form. But I will thank Pfizer for at least supporting me and learning these AI skills because that's what's needed to really stay on the cutting edge. Because if not, then the divide between not using AI and AI, that gap will grow larger and larger. Your company will get AI one day and they have to, or else they will get left behind. And so you be patient, wait for your company to get these for corporate licenses and to be able to use it. So I wish you best in your journey. There are a lot of us, there is an AI community out there. We are all learning together. AI is a different feel. It's a very different skill to learn, but we are learning it together and we have made some progress and there's still lots of other things we could do.
Very cool. I'm looking forward to following the story and seeing what's next in 2026.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.